Hey everyone, welcome to English 270 or Literature for Children. My name is Amber Lemire. I'm going to be your instructor this quarter for our online class, and you can call me Amber. In this first video, I would love to just give you a tour of our space. I like to think of an online class as a house I've never been to, and when I was an online student, I felt that same urge I get when I enter a house I've never been to. I wanted a tour. I wanted to be shown where I could sit down, where I could set my bag, where I could go if I need to use the restroom, just kind of what the space looks like. I was always nervous that something was going to pop out and get me from, some mystery cabinet in the middle of the quarter, and I don't want you guys to feel that way, so stick with me this morning or this afternoon or this evening or this middle of the night because we're learning online and we can learn whenever and wherever we want, and enjoy the tour. So if you're watching this video, you have found the weekly updates. These are on the homepage in our Canvas course, and they're also linked into the to-do or the Canvas calendar, and a little bit more on that in a bit. But let's talk about these weekly updates and how they're going to be structured and how they're going to work. This is a Padlet. It's just an app that I've embedded in. So what it does is it creates almost like a social media streaming. So you'll see week 1, it'll slide down next week and you'll get week 2, slide down week 3, and the newest one will always be on top, but you'll be able to scroll down and get the older ones as well. The newest updates come every Monday before noon. So I get into the office, I kind of think through what I want to recap from last week, what I might want to share or clarify or provide in order to inspire or energize us for the week ahead. I provide that in the video at the top of the update. Underneath the video, you will get a little blurb, and then it will say every weekly update, here is the workflow for the week. That line will be there every time. You can count on it. And then underneath that, it will say due Tuesday, and there will be bullets with links to the work we're supposed to do and where it's going to be done. For instance, a discussion board. And it'll be due Tuesday, bullets with links, due Thursday, bullets with links, and due Sunday, bullets with links. At the bottom of that weekly update, you have an opportunity to like the post. I'm not actually asking you to like it, love it, whatever, but I would appreciate if you would click on the heart just as a way to say that somebody with a beating heart is reading this. It gives me like a informal sense of how much of you I've reached with the weekly update, so I know that we're all on the same page. As well, there's the opportunity to leave a comment underneath it. Now, these are public comments, so if you have something more private, more relevant to your situation, send an email. Otherwise, feel free if you think that the comment might benefit everyone in the group, whether that's just a nice, friendly comment, something positive or encouraging to add on to start the week, or a question, or letting me know that a link is broken, or anything of that nature. You're welcome to do that. It will show up as anonymous. You could add your name if you want. It's totally up to you guys, and we'll just see how it goes and reshape things if we need to. I try to design the course and especially the homepage so that if you go there, you actually have access to every single thing that you need. And you really don't have to click around a bunch. You just follow those links from those bullets. But we all work differently, so I want you to know that I put the same thing in multiple places. For instance, these homepage updates, they pop into your calendar every Monday. So you don't actually have to get into the course to see them. You will get a calendar like to-do item that says weekly update 1. And so you can access it there as well. All of the due Tuesday, due Thursday, and those bullets, I copy and paste those into the calendar as well. So on Tuesday, you'll see that specific chunk of the weekly update with the bullets and the links to the different things that you might need to do on that day. And there are a lot of students who don't really like the calendar and maybe don't don't find the homepage useful, and they just want to see things broken out into like the big picture list. So you can go to modules on the left-hand side. If you look at the left-hand side menu right now in Canvas, you'll see that we're on the homepage, but right underneath that is modules. And modules will list out all of the assignments for the course. At the very top is a link to the weekly updates. What about those of you who don't just want the class to come at you week by week, but you would rather have the quarterly view of the course? Modules kind of gives you that, but not in the same way that the quarterly workflow page would. So if you look at this Padlet where this video is right now, at the very bottom there's a blue hyperlink that says click here to view workflows for the entire quarter. You can go there if you want a snapshot of what's happening in week 7 or week 9, or I bought this book, when am I actually going to read it, or I have a vacation coming up, and you can kind of scope those things out. Now that one is tentative, it's like hopeful and probable, but something could change. The weekly updates are the week before we're doing that stuff, I'm vetting like, yeah, that's going to fit with our calendar. That matches what's going on in life, in the world right now. This is the flow for what we're up to right now. The overall point is find what works for you, and if you're having trouble finding an access for the course that works for you, if you feel like you're having a hard time finding your way around, reach out and let me know. It's my house. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable in it, make sure you know where to go in order to get what you need, and I just want you to feel welcomed. So one more thing before we dive into the rest of the tour of the course and navigation, I wanted to mention that due dates, due Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, are very repetitious on purpose, so that if you're walking around your house on Wednesday and you're like, is something due? You can be like, oh no, it's Wednesday. So you at least have just a little sense of relief there. But on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Sundays, there might be something due. Not always. There's nothing due this Tuesday. It's just that if anything is going to be due, it will be due on those days. The course will say over and over, due by midnight. And I hope that we can just get the hang of things early on and really spread the word that midnight is really midnight-ish. What I actually hope for is that when I log in at the earliest the next day, sometimes it takes me a couple days, if your work is there, I'm not going to check timestamps. So if you're like, oh, I didn't get it in by 11:59, I genuinely will not be looking at that. I feel like that is not a reasonable expectation. So just like you all navigate a course in a different way, it's an online class, and I am assuming based off lots of experience of teaching so many different students that you guys are overcoming huge obstacles to fit this course into your life. So even with the Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday routine, I hope you sit down and think about if that's going to work for you. And maybe you need to reset those dates for yourself. Maybe it needs to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something else that just goes with your flow better. If you're struggling with that, reach out. I have had students in the past who have such unique work schedules that it really relieved a lot of stress to just say the Sunday deadline would work best if it was just Monday at noon or something to that effect. So I'm here to partner with you and not to stand in your way. When I put in these rhythms and these deadlines, it's just like a best case scenario. It's like a heartbeat for the course, and it's okay to have an irregular rhythm every now and then. And I will talk more about it later, but I try very hard to live up to my value of being a flexible and accommodating partner in your learning. So reach out right away if you're concerned about anything. This week's weekly update is below. Like I said, there is stuff due this Thursday and this Sunday. The level 1 and level 2 assignments are on your task list. And so in level 1, you'll read the syllabus. You'll let me know where you're at with your books so that I can chime in and help out if needed. although I am providing some PDFs for these first couple of things. And then you'll reply to each other. We'll create a welcoming space that we all want to show up to, and we will dive into level 2, which is a survey of literary history. Every time at the end of the quarter, when I do informal reviews of how the course went, I'm surprised how many students say that level about history was one of their favorites, and they're surprised too. But I think it's because, a little teaser, children's literature as a genre hasn't been around as long as we would think, and the ideas that people have historically held about children and their value in society have really evolved. And so what we think is true hasn't always been true, or hasn't always been the sentiment among our human peers. And then the other thing in there is a lot of people really enjoy the child psychology and development aspects that are discussed in the history. So I hope that gives you a little teaser to get excited, to start digging in, and just know that you shouldn't worry too much right now about meeting any expectations or anything. Just put your work out there, and whatever you bring to the table, I will bring comments, I will bring feedback, and we will work together to help you achieve whatever your goals are in the long term for this course. Back to the tour. So we did the homepage. We've talked about the to-do list in the calendar. We've talked about modules on the left-hand side menu. Let's keep going down that menu. Course syllabus. That's always going to be there right on that landing page. But like I said, in your first assignment this week in level 1, there will be an extra link to that to dive into the course syllabus. The syllabus outlines how things are going to function. It gives you my contact information, access to my Zoom room, the required text materials, how things are going to be graded. It breaks into more detail about the things that I'm walking through right now. So that is a live document, meaning that you can actually get into it and make comments on it if you have any, like I have a concern about this, or I have a question about this, or I love this. And it should be interactive, like if we were in class having a discussion about the syllabus at the same time. I'll keep my eye on that. Last quarter there were no comments, but I'm open to whatever you guys might want to bring to the table this quarter. It's a new day. And then on the left-hand side menu, down one is my Zoom room. Because this is an online class, I'm going to assume that many of you, if you want to conference, would like an online option. I'm also available in person. My office is in Applied Arts. I would recommend, if you want to do that informal thing of just coming and looking for me, give me a heads up. I tend to have a lot of different tasks allotted on my calendar, different meetings and whatnot, and I just want to make sure that I'm meeting you when you want to be met with. So whether you want to Zoom or meet in person, send an email. Let's arrange a time. Mondays are pretty good after I do my updates in the morning, and then Tuesdays I'm rather packed in, but I can make room here and there. Wednesdays are better, and Thursdays are pretty decent as well. If you're worried, there's no way you could ever meet with me around my schedule, I really just recommend that you advocate for yourself. I'm never offended by a question. So even if you said, can you meet on a Saturday? I won't be offended. If I can, I will. And if I can't, I will let you know. And I will try to provide anything else in place of that is possible to help support you with your learning. So, not easily offended. Really just want to work with you guys and get to know you. Really want you to have a great time engaging with this course content. This class is, at least for me, even as the instructor of it, shockingly more fun than I ever imagined it could be. And it's been so fulfilling to see student evals every quarter that I've taught it. This is my 3rd year now, just pouring back, saying how much they enjoyed it more than they intended to. So that's the legacy that you're joining in now with now this quarter. And back to the menu. On the left-hand side, people. That's if you want to contact one another off of discussion boards. So if you have any questions about that, any concerns about that, reach out and let me know. But you do have access to be able to message each other if you want to collaborate on anything. As well, library and tutoring. I always keep those visible in the course because it's just a direct shot to those resources. It's not like you will need them as much as you might if you were taking one of my composition courses, but it's still nice to have them there in case something comes up. And grades, which I will perhaps break into right now, but there's also a lot of that in the syllabus. All right, yes, I'm going to break into grades and wrap this up. I was just checking my notes. So, as I said a little bit ago, I try very hard to be flexible and accommodating, and I don't want to stand in your way. I believe that grades can be distracting. Of course, they help. They support your awareness of whether or not you're on track or falling behind, etc. But they also, for many of us, flare up forms of anxiety or fear or even perfectionism. We start obsessing over what we're earning rather than what we're truly learning. We don't feel like free to just be brains and humans in a space and, absorbing material. I'm going to assume that all of you can relate in some way. I'm sure you're all very different with your relationships to grades, but everyone seems to have a story of how grades have either hurt or fed them and really occupied their brain space. So, what I have done, some things that have worked over the past 3 years, is gamified this course. Now, that's not over the top. It's just that the class is made up of levels and quests. And the goal of the class is kind of like a game. It's to complete as many levels and quests as you can. There are 9 levels, there are 5 quests, and what you can do is complete them, or they show up as incomplete. You can also complete them and earn treasure. There's a document you'll see in the very first week that says tips and tricks for completing quests and levels and acquiring treasure. So if you're wondering, well, how do I get that? How do I make sure that I hit those marks? That document stays the same all quarter long. It's consistent in terms of representing my expectations all quarter long. When I leave you comments on your work, whether typed or audio, I'm going to be referencing that document. So for level 1, treasure isn't available. It's just going to be complete or incomplete. And really, it's just, did you follow instructions or not? And then for level 2, lots of people still only earn complete. But for those of you who really want that level of success where you're going to need some treasure, the tips and tricks sheet will walk you through that. And then my comments on that first level have historically in this class always been what a student needed to then earn treasure on the next level. That is why I say stick with it for 3 weeks. Watch your grades tab on the left-hand menu, sort of fill in, and then start asking questions if you still are feeling uncertain about how this is going to work. In the end, and kind of late mid quarter, I will add up how many levels you've completed, how many quests, and how much treasure. And in the syllabus, it shows you that those totals unlock letter grades. As well, and this is probably the most important part, if you ever don't complete a level or a quest, because let's say you skipped an element of the instructions, or you just had a really rough week, or whatever it is, you had to prioritize a chemistry thing for once, or a math thing, whatever it is, you will have reboots available to you. So in the gradebook, it'll show up and it'll say reboot available or something to that effect. Look for reboot and then check comments. And the comments will say, hey, this is why I'm offering you a reboot. Would you like to take that opportunity? And then you can say, yeah, I want to revise. I want to earn credit for that level. Or you can say, I don't need an A. I'm fine with how I'm doing, and I think I'm just going to skip that one. And all students are different, and in my experience, students choose different things. So that's another reason why I like this system. I feel like it gives you guys a little bit more agency to choose the grade that you want and then work toward those goals as we go along. Work with me toward those goals. So for now, just do what you feel like you should do to learn and to set up just a strong start for the quarter. Perhaps the most important thing that we can prioritize in week 1 is making sure, like I said earlier, that we create a place where people are excited to show up. This learning community is a group of students that has never come together before. So like I said, I've taught this class now for 3 years, and I've wondered, at what point am I going to get, as the instructor, a little bit bored reading 25 comments on the same thing quarter after quarter after quarter. But every quarter it's different because You guys are different. You're a different group of people. You read differently. You bring different experiences and backgrounds and perspectives and insights to the table, which means I'm not only leading and instructing this course, and David Russell, the author of our text, and the other authors that we're going to engage with, they're not the only ones with a voice in this learning material. You guys are too. So if you get into that level 1 discussion space and you're like, what am I really supposed to provide or present from myself? Present what makes you unique. What is your individual lens? And then when you go to reply to each other, show respect and honor and show that you value and are looking forward to what this person might also bring to the table or might reveal to you. Again, from those evals from the past, one thing I love to see, and I'm surprised every time, is students saying, my favorite part was hearing what other students thought about what we read. Because sometimes with discussions, students are like, wow. But it's very awesome and encouraging to see that that has been the experience of former students. So if it's I mean, there's no pressure that you guys have to chime in that same way, but I think it's just like a positive note to share with you to encourage you and motivate you for the quarter ahead. And now go ahead and get started. Look below, set a calendar for yourself, and reach out if you have any questions. I'm super excited to read your introductions, to get to know you, and to work with you this quarter.